Many people in life are trying to figure out how to make a life worth living. They're working in retail, they're working in careers, they're working in establishments, they're professional service providers, they're mortgage brokers, they're literally all sorts of people. They're MLMers, they are people in sales of people, they are people who are recruiters, and they're just looking for how do I get to my retirement? But they recognize they don't have enough money set aside for retirement. They literally get that we are sort of lied to about what we're going to need in the retirement years. Long ago, it was said we needed $1 million in the bank in order to put ourselves through retirement. When we get that information in college, we are encouraged to set aside money every week out of a paycheck until we die, and in that regard, we might have $1 million in the bank. But is $1 million enough to live for 20 to 30 years beyond our working years is a real good question. A lot of people are living literally in poverty. There is no liquidation store. Unfortunately, there are estate liquidation companies, but that's if you have a house and you can call them in to say, come in and sell my stuff, and then you literally give them a 20 to 30% commission for making the sale. I mean, that's pretty standard. If we have a commissioned salesperson, they are usually making 20 to 30% of the overall sale in profit for their salary. Some people do exceptionally well in that competitive environment. Other people have responsibilities, have children, have worries about college funds and other things, and so they have to take a salary plus commissions. And that's okay too, but it's still a 20% or 30% sort of thing. When a person is vying for building a company, they sometimes have to sell themselves better than other people, and literally that can be hard. I know in my lifetime I created a sales process for my language school which produced for us clients for 4 to 6 years. That is a long commitment that people made annually. They didn't make it up front. They just kept renewing year after year because they loved our program, they loved our family, they loved the service they got, they loved what they got in terms of their language capabilities, and most have gone on to utilize their Japanese language skills in a way that allowed them to either get into college, get into graduate school, get into a career in an international company, or just utilize it in the day-to-day aspect of working with Japanese or selling to Japanese or interacting with them somehow in their professional careers. And literally that made me quite proud to participate in producing that result in them. Since that time, my entire language program has been literally deleted off of my hard drives without my consent, without my permission, by some lawless individual who just thought they'd get onto my drives as they sat in a closet, in a bag, in a home where I was residing for a short period of time. You have to wonder what kind of monster does those sort of things. You have to kind of wonder what kind of mental health crisis they're really having. But the open line is that they violated my rights in doing that. It wasn't a matter of that the drive got shook up or anything like that. It's very blatant that they were removed, and I can see that literally on the drives. My family has been monstrously monkeying in my life and my healthcare and my mental health care and all sorts of aspects of my rights to go forward is absolute truth. The individual that I care for, that I've said, look, if something really happens to me, if my health goes awry because someone keeps monkeying around in my lawful right to handle my own health care the way that I see fit, and it has literally made me much more difficult in order to get things done because they've monkeyed in my health care, then I want you to know where things are. I want you to know what the value of things are, and I openly want you to be able to liquidate with intelligence, not foolishness. Now, if she's mature enough to take that on that role, fine. If she's not, the law is still going to force her to take me home to God, not at all. But they will give her the money from my retirement, not at all. They'll give her the money from my life insurance policy that is presently being paid by its own self because of my lack of income. And I like that about both my policies that are literally put in her name if something happens to me. It's not that we are lawfully married. It's just that she's the one I've decided to bequeath my life goods to, my life worth to, my life of anything to. You see, it's not about how she made me feel. It's not about how I made myself feel around her. It's about how I feel in general. That when someone lies to someone, when someone manipulates someone, when someone shaves a person's body without consent, when someone makes a monster out of someone, when someone ruins a relationship with a mother through their gossip and their inappropriate commentary about a life that they are not living, I have simply said no more to my birth family. They might have once, long ago in my 20s, been a part of my life insurance, but since then I had a relationship, and then it became a person of my own Japanese family who had that information. The minute she got betrothed to someone else and became married, I sort of felt like, I'm no longer responsible for her life insurance. I'm no longer responsible for her burial plot. I'm no longer responsible for any of that. What I find fascinating is that someone has literally stolen off my person copies of my certificate of my burial plot that my mother provided me. At my age of 50, I have the lawful right to have that information. I had to fight with my stupid-ass mother to get that information because she just doesn't understand how the world works. Now, forgive me for calling her that, but openly she's a liar, and I don't like liars, so I pretty much have said, I'm done with you. I'm 50 years old, I don't need their help, and frankly, I get a little tired of the lie that they think I somehow need their help. I don't want one birth family member in my life. I don't want my uncle in my life. I don't want my nieces and nephew in my life. And I certainly don't want any of my cousins in my life. They all have relationships with my brothers and sisters. They all lie, steal, and cheat me out of the right to privacy. And openly, none of them represent God's house in the way that I understand the Lord. Now, when I talk like this, I'm talking about real life. I'm talking about real family dynamics. I'm talking about the fact that people like me, like you, like others, have functionally dysfunctional families. And we all have the right to decide, am I safe anywhere near that individual or not? There are other people in the land who lie about their rights in our life. I met a man recently who thought he'd monkey in my mental health care. He thought he'd retaliate on my upset with his arrogance by simply saying, well, I'm going to do this to you then. And frankly, he's going to get a call from the Attorney General very soon. Now, when I say that, I mean it. I don't make promises I don't keep. There's only been 2 promises in my adult life that I'm aware of that I didn't keep, that were of significant value to my life and someone else's life. One was a marketing decision that I couldn't pay for a membership because the sale I was planning to utilize to do that, to give myself a leg up, didn't come through. The person lied to me about being willing to do their purchase. The second was an alliance with a female that I promised to call on a Wednesday night, and I didn't, and I've regretted it every day since. That was not my foolishness, it was just my own boundaries saying, I can't handle any more right now. Now, in life, we have moments of time to say that, but in moments of time, we also have to decide, what would God want me to do? In that particular moment of time, I was checking. I literally have checked every single thing that I'm supposed to do with the Lord's help. And openly, when the Lord says stop and sit, I stop and sit. When the Lord says get up and go, I get up and go. When the Lord says look left, I look left. When he says look right, I look right. And I always double check to make sure that I'm really hearing something holy, positive, and loving, and not something trying to get me to monkey my life further. That is the value of a faith fob and a faith practice that I have that is as old as monks are in time. But in reality, what I'm really talking about is my lawful right to provide my own life information, my own life education, my own life food, my own life decisions. Now, I bring up the concept of food because I want to tell you some stories about people who've literally tried to help me over the many weeks of my homelessness, while my birth family literally has monkeyed so much with my financial capabilities that they've actually put me further in debt, ruined my bank account, and utterly destroyed most of my property in my storage unit. And I'm pretty sure it's them. The reality is that there have been many strangers, very kind, who've done things for me. In the winter's month, there was a mother and a son, and the son said, Mom, let's buy that homeless man some food. They provided for me a lovely dinner at a place that I sort of like, but it's a little spicy for me, and I really felt loved on during the holiday season. I've had other people who've literally gifted me some sort of a gift card at different places, which is great as long as I'm able to walk to that location. But there are certain companies that I no longer want a gift card for because their food is so boring, I couldn't possibly produce a healthy diet off of it. Now, in life, we have moments of time to prove who we are in the world, and it's not about giving food. Last night, I received another insult, just like I did in the morning, where someone actually drove up on me, or walked up on me, I guess is the case. The man walked up on me last evening with a pizza in hand and a bag, and he basically said, "Are you hungry? Because I saw you there and I purchased you a pizza and some water," and I said, "No, thank you. I've already eaten. I'm quite full. I don't need it." So he proceeded to then be insulted. He laid the food down on the ground outside of the establishment where I was seated, and I said, "You don't want to leave your food there." I said, "This is not a place to litter. You should take that food with you." Instead of being a regardful person of food and taking it with him and taking it home, putting it in the refrigerator, giving it to the dog, whatever. He literally then left it on top of a garbage can outside of that establishment. And I thought, okay, you've got money to waste. You've just spent probably $5 to $10 on waters based on the size of the bag you're carrying and how much water costs today in bottles. You've spent $5 to $10 on a pizza. You had $20 that you could have contributed to someone's life besides mine, but you've decided to throw it all away because of your insult being received. No, the insult was you, sir. You literally thought that a total stranger was going to accept food from a total stranger. You clearly haven't lived in the community long enough to understand how certain people violate rights when they give food. They taint the food, they cause someone to get ill, they cause someone to fall asleep, they steal their belongings. I don't play that game. At the same little time, he was taking away my right to say no. I said no, but he was still going to put it down. It's like the church lady who came up to me and talked to me as if I was 12 and said, "Are you hungry? Can I buy you something? Would you like a bagel?" And she just kept pushing on me, and I said, "I'm going to go in later." I wasn't hungry at that moment of time. She insisted on purchasing me a bagel because she asked me what kind of bagels I liked. And I said, well, what the hell, it's conversation. So I told her, because people like that are going to do what they want to do anyway. But I literally put that bagel and then the water that I didn't ask for, which she purchased on top of it, on her vehicle. Because I really didn't want it. I don't want people I don't know, total strangers, who claim that they've met me once or twice, or they saw me, to buy me food. I have no reason to trust that that food is not tainted. I have no reason to trust them at all. I put it back on her vehicle and left it there and went on with my day. I had purchases to make, I had food I wanted to eat out of a particular can, I had certain things for my cellular health I wanted to accomplish, and openly, when I walked back through that area of where I like to rest sometimes, up in Fishers, what I found was she had put the bottle and the bagel back where I had been seated. And I thought, what does she think, that this is my sofa? That I somehow own that chair? I don't. She wasted her money. She wasted $3 or $4. But here's the thing. If she really wanted to love on me, she could have just bought me a gift card and allowed me to go and do and be how I wanted to at whatever time I wanted to. That little Apple Bagel Company is a favorite place I like to eat for breakfast, but I don't normally just get a bagel. So somebody wants to spend $1 on me is great, but they would be better off just handing me $1 because then I can go produce for myself a real sandwich at McDonald's for $1. You see, we can live off McDonald's because McDonald's does two wonderful things. They offers a value menu for people who are on a real crisis budget, and they do it lovingly because they make it up in other ways, other places. They also offer, if you do a survey, you can get free food at most McDonald's. There's some McDonald's that do this buy one, get one free stuff, but nobody can eat that much in the way of burgers. So it's sort of something that you can only utilize if you have a family, at least utilize, in my opinion. I'm sure there are men who are more than happy to eat 2 burgers, but that's a lot of beef for my body, and I can't handle it. It gives me the farts. But you don't want to know that. That's TMI. But my point is that when people are trying to show love, they need to do it simply. If you want to provide for someone food, don't offer to take them to dinner because it's like you're trying to solicit them for a date, but you're not. You're not really looking at making a long-term relationship. Now, if you drove up on someone and said, listen, it looks like you're having a struggle. I'd love to talk with you for over dinner to find out if there's any way that I can actually help you with my social network and with my business contacts, that's something entirely different. But if someone is just trying to do a one-off help to make themselves feel good, like, I saw this, I acted on it, I'm paying it forward, or whatever that little show used to be about, that's fine, but it doesn't move someone closer to getting out of homelessness. It actually keeps them in homelessness. Now, when I talk like this, I'm talking like a real person. I'm talking about a real individual, a real man who's sitting with his shoes in the video and openly, literally saying, look, if you want to help someone to get out of homelessness, help them find an employer. Help them find their skill sets to be employed at a career level so that they can make enough to rent a car, to literally have a house, and openly to not get crapped on by family members who want to make them look like they can't handle things. There's always someone willing to lie on someone's life. That man might have not even owned the vehicle that he drove off in. He might have commandeered the vehicle. But openly he acted insulted that I didn't want the food he was trying to force me to eat and control my body intake. I don't eat pizza. I rarely eat it because I know what it does to me at this late stage of my family life. What I mean is, in college, we used to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner without problem. But my body has shifted. My cells have changed. My entire physique is nothing like it used to be, and I know that if I eat pizza, I have a problem. Physical problem. Despite how much it might taste good going down, the rest of my body won't like it. It could be a gluten thing, it could be a lot of things, but I have the right to decide what I'm going to eat and what I'm not going to eat. His insult was that he thought he should be in control of my food intake. No one gave him that right. No one said, eat this and do this for me. And I don't eat or drink for someone just to make them happy. In life, if we're trying to help people who are homeless, we can literally help them by getting out of the cold and into a place where they can use the internet, they can use their contacts, they can make telephone calls without a problem, and that openly they can protect their rights in this land.